The year was 1974. Do you remember where you were and what you were doing? And maybe you weren't even born yet, but you still love the music. Hi, I'm Mr. Mike. That's what the kids at church call me. And welcome to this episode of In My Musical Opinion, the channel where I go through every number one hit song according to the US Billboard Pop Charts from a year in rock and roll history, tell you who recorded the song, how many weeks it remained in the number one position, and maybe a few more interesting bits of musical trivia. And then, after I go through every number one song, I'll be giving you my musical opinion to my top 5 songs from that year. So, stick around to the end. Before we get into today's video, I hope you will give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and new subscribers to this channel are always welcome. Today, I'll be going through the year 1974. What was I doing? I sold my 1972 Dodge Colt and bought a brand new 1974 Dodge Charger SE. Yeah, I did the Krager SS wheels and the raised white leather tires, of course. But that was one hot-looking car. I also bought a TIAC 3340S, 10.5-inch reel-to-reel tape deck, 4-channel, and made my own multi-track recordings. Well, I go digital now, but back then, analog tape was all you had. I may have recorded my own music back then, but the songs coming out of the radio that year were fantastic. So let's go through every number one hit song from 1974. And I'll just tell you and warn you up front, this was an interesting year because there are 35 number one songs in 74, and 23 of them were number one for only 1 week. Wow, what happened in 1974? Then stick around to the end to see which ones, in my musical opinion, are my top 5 hits from that year. Think we'll agree on any of them? Maybe. And if we don't, that's okay. Kicking off at number 1 for the year 1974 is Time in a Bottle, written and performed by Jim Croce. The song was from Croce's 1972 album, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. After Croce died in a plane crash in September of 73, the song was released as a single. The song spent 1 week at number 1 in 1973 and remained at number 1 for 1 week in 1974.
Just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes.
Following Time in a Bottle is The Joker by the Steve Miller Band. Steve Miller borrowed some words from the 1954 song Lovey Dovey by the Clovers. Yes, he's a joker, a smoker, and a midnight toker. This song spent 1 week in number 1 position.
I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I get my loving on the run.
Replacing Steve Miller for the number 1 spot is Show and Tell by Al Wilson. The song was written by Jerry Fuller and originally recorded by Johnny Mathis in 1972. It remained a number 1 hit for Al Wilson just 1 week.
I love you, girl, so show me and tell me
Next, we have the song You're 16 by Ringo Starr. The song was written by the Sherman Brothers, Robert B. Sherman, and Richard M. Sherman. It was first performed by Johnny Burnett, whose version peaked at number 8 way back in December of 1960. Ringo's version stayed at number 1 for 1 week. Coming up next, we have Misty Watercolored Memories that light the corners of our minds. It's The Way We Were by Barbra Streisand. Written by Alan Bergman, Marilyn Bergman, and Marvin Hamlish. The song remained number 1 for 1 week, slipped to number 2 for 1 week, and came back as number 1 for another 2 weeks. Moving on to our next number 1 is Love's Theme by the Love Unlimited Orchestra. This instrumental was written and produced by Barry White. The song remained at number 1 for 1 week. Next, we had joy, we had fun, we had Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks from Winnipeg, Manitoba. A few years before this song was released, Jacks was in a band called the Poppy Family, who had a hit song, Which Way You Going, Billy, in 1970. Seasons in the Sun stayed on top of the charts for 3 weeks.
Papa, please pray for me. I was the black sheep of the family. You tried to teach me right from wrong.
Next in 1974, we have a number 1 from Cher. It's Dark Lady. This song was Cher's 3rd number 1 solo song. The song was written and composed by the Ventures keyboard player, Johnny Durrell. Dark Lady stayed at number 1 for 1 week.
Dark lady played black magic till the clock struck on the 12. She told me more about me than I knew myself.
So far, 6 out of our first 8 songs in 1974 stayed at number 1 for only 1 week. Will our next song be any different? Nope. It's Sunshine on My Shoulders by John Denver. Sunshine was written by John Denver, Dick Kniss, and Mike Taylor. The song was number 1 for just 1 week.
Sunshine in my eyes can't make me cry.
Everyone remembers the opening line of this song, Ooga shaka, ooga, ooga, ooga shaka, ooga, ooga. The opening line of Hooked on a Feeling by Blue Suede. The song was written by Mark James and originally performed by B.J. Thomas in 1968. And we have yet another 1 week number 1 song.
When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright.
Moving on to our 11th number 1 song in 1974, and we're still in April. Coming up next, it's Benny and the Jets by Elton John. With the music by Elton John and the words by Bernie Taupin, this song was from the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album and stayed at number 1 for only 1 week. This next number one just may have been the song that gave birth to disco. Maybe. It's TSOP, The Sound of Philadelphia, by MFSB. Written by Kenneth Gamble and Leon Huff, the song was the theme for the TV show Soul Train, Don Cornelius. It remained at number one for 2 weeks. Replacing TSOP is The Locomotion by Grand Funk Railroad. Written by Jerry Goffin and Carole King, this was one of only 9 songs to become number one by 2 different artists. It was also a number one hit for Little Eva in 1962. The song remained at number one for 2 weeks. Our next number one song talks about disturbances at a supermarket, a service station, and at a high school gymnasium. It's The Streak by Ray Stevens. Written and produced by Ray Stevens, The Streak stayed at number one for an incredible 3 weeks.
Wearing just his tennis shoes, guess you could call him unique. Once again, your Action News reporter in the booth at the gym covering the disturbance at the basketball playoff. Pardon me, sir, did you see what happened?
June of 1974 brought us Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings. Written by McCartney, this song is a medley of 3 distinct musical passages that vary in style. I recorded a cover and a video of this song. You'll find the link in the description below. Band on the Run remained at number one 1 week. Our next number one hit song was a number one in the UK for the band Paper Lace, and also a number one in the US for Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods. It's a song about a young man named Billy who never returns home from a war. It's Billy, Don't Be a Hero. This song held the number one spot 2 weeks. Coming in next is Sundown by Canadian folk artist Gordon Lightfoot. This was Lightfoot's only number one hit song, but it hit number one on both the pop charts and the easy listening charts. I also recorded a cover of this song. Link in the description below. Sundown remained at number one for 1 week.
Sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. Sometimes I think it's a shame.
Half of the year is over, and we already have 17 songs. Our 18th number one hit song is Rock the Boat by the Hughes Corporation. The group consisted of Bernard St. Clair Lee, Fleming Williams, and H. Ann Pelly. Written by Wally Holmes, this song stayed at number one.
Ever since our voyage of love began, your touch has thrilled me like the rush of the wind. And your heart...
After Rocking the Boat, we have George McCrae with Rock Your Baby as our new number one song. The song was written by Harry Wayne Casey and Richard Finch, both from KC and the Sunshine Band. It remained at number 1 for 2 weeks. Once again, in 1974, we have John Denver as our next number 1 artist with Annie's Song. The song was written as an ode to Denver's wife at the time, Annie Martell Denver. He claims he wrote the song in 10.5 minutes. He probably did. It remained at number 1 for 2 weeks.
Like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime.
Next, we have the British group Paper Lace with The Night Chicago Died as our new number 1 hit. Written by Peter Callender and Mitch Murray, the song held the number 1 position for 1 week. Our next number 1 was voted the number 1 worst song of all time in a poll conducted by CNN.com in 2006. I'll let you decide. The song? You're Having My Baby by Paul Anka with Odia Coates. You know, for being the worst song of all time, it spent 3 weeks at number 1. Obviously, somebody liked it. Longer than most songs in 1974. Mid-September brought us I Shot the Sheriff by Eric Clapton as our new number 1 song. It hit number 1 in the US, Canada, and New Zealand. Written by Bob Marley, I Shot the Sheriff spent 1 week number 1.
They say it is a capital offense. Sheriff John Brown always hated.
The opening line to this next song says, and I quote, I've heard people say that too much of anything is no good for you, baby. But I don't know about that. Have you guessed it? That line is from Barry White with his second chart topper of 1974, Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Baby. The song stayed at number 1 for 1 week.
Girl, I don't know why. Can't get enough of your love, babe. Lord, some things I can't get used to. No matter.
Finishing up September of 1974, we have Andy Kim with Rock Me Gently. The B-side to this single was an instrumental version of the same song. Written by Andy Kim, this song spent 1 week at number 1. I really thought this next song would spend many weeks at number 1, but it only spent 2 weeks in our number 1 spot. It's I Honestly Love You by Olivia Newton-John. At the 17th Grammy Awards in 1975, this single won both Record of the Year and Best Pop Female Vocal Performance. Olivia Newton-John is the highest-selling female Australian recording artist of all
But
time.
this feeling doesn't come along every day.
Our next number one song in 1974 is Nothing from Nothing by Billy Preston. Written by Billy Preston and Bruce Fisher, the song was Preston's second number one hit in the U.S. It stayed at number one for 1 week. We're at our 28th number one song for 1974, and we're still in October. This next hit was used as the opening theme of the television series Webster. It's Then Came You by Dionne Warwick and the Spinners. Written by Sherman Marshall and Philip Pugh, this song was number one for 1 week. Our next number one song is You Haven't Done Nothing by Stevie Wonder. The song was written by Stevie Wonder with background vocals by the Jackson 5. It stayed at number one for 1 week.
It's not too cool to be ridiculed, but you brought this up on yourself.
Here's another song to stay at number one for only 1 week. It's You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by Bachman Turner Overdrive. BTO, as most people call it. She looked at me with those big brown eyes and said, you know the rest. This song was written and produced by Randy Bachman. Next, we have ex-Beatle John Lennon with the Plastic Ono Band with Whatever Gets You Through the Night. John got the idea for this song by watching the Reverend Ike, a famous black evangelist, on late-night TV. Well, at least that's what he says. It stayed at number one for 1 week.
Don't need a salt to cut through flowers. Oh no. Oh no. Whatever gets you through your life, it's alright.
Our next number one song in 1974 is I Can Help by Billy Swan. Written by Swan, this song reached number one on the pop charts and the Hot Country Singles chart. I Can Help stayed at number one for 2 weeks.
It would sure do me good to do you good. Let me help. When I go to sleep at night, you're always upon.
The song says that everybody was doing this, and those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. The song is Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas. The song was recorded in the studio in less than 10 minutes. Written by Carl Douglas, it stayed at number one for 2 weeks. When you coming home, Dad? I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son. You know we'll get together then. Great words from a great storyteller. It's Harry Chapin with Cats in the Cradle. The song stayed at number one 1 week.
Have a good time then.
My son turned 10 just the
Finally, ending the year 1974, it's Helen Reddy with Angie Baby. Written by Alan O'Day, The song's cryptic lyrics have inspired a number of theories as to what the song is really about. Just don't ask me, because I don't know. Angie Baby finished 1974, spending 1 week at number 1.
Angie, baby, you're a special lady, living in a world of make-believe.
So, there you have it. The 35 number 1 hit songs from the US Billboard Pop Charts from 1974. And as with any year in rock and roll history, there are plenty of other songs that were out that we loved even more than these number 1 hits. And 3 of my top favorites that did not make it are Ricky Don't Lose That Number by Steely Dan, only made it to number 4. Hollywood Swinging by Kool and the Gang, only made it to number 6. And Taking Care of Business by Bachman Turner Overdrive, only made it to number 12. Unfortunately, they never made it to the number 1 position, and in this show, I just rate the number 1 songs. So how do I rate them? I did have someone ask me if I rate them as I feel about them now, or how I felt about them back then. Well, to answer that question, it's how I feel about them now. And just to let you know, I base my ratings on 3 things: the memories, the music, and the lyrics, obviously. And for me, every song can be based on something different. So which ones, in my musical opinion, are my top 5 1974 favorites? Well, there's 35 to choose from. So here I go. At number 5 is Can't Get Enough of Your Love, Babe by Barry White. His vocals are so smooth. This dude has soul, he has rhythm, and okay, maybe he's carrying a little extra weight. But this song will get you moving. And I'm sure women all over the world were falling in love with this man and with this song. Barry White is my number 5.
Can't get enough of your love, babe. Girl, I don't know why. Can't get enough of your love, babe.
Next, at my number 4 is You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by Bachman Turner Overdrive. I do have a rock and roll heart, and this song rocks. It's a fun song to play on the guitar. BTO was extremely popular in 1974, and this song has great memories for me. BTO, number 4. Moving on to number 3 is I Honestly Love You by Olivia Newton-John. Beautiful music, beautiful voice, and a beautiful woman. What's not to like about her and this song? I remember seeing her on the Midnight Special TV show, which used to air on Friday nights. So Olivia comes in at my number 3.
I honestly love you.
I said earlier that sometimes I base my musical opinions about these songs on memories. Well, my number 2 song is just that. I remember hearing this song quite often when I went to Virginia Beach and saw the Atlantic Ocean for the first time. The song is Rock the Boat by the Hughes Corporation. Oh, those ocean memories. Yes, It's Rock the Boat at my number 2 spot.
You got the notion to rock the boat. Don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat. I don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat. I don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat.
And my favorite number 1 song of 1974 is Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. You don't realize the impact of the lyrics of this song until you become a dad. Then they hit you right in the gut. At least they did me. And as I hung up the phone, it occurred to me, he'd grown up just like me. My boy was just like me. Cats in the Cradle, my number 1 out of all the number 1s for 1974.
Little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then. You know we'll have a good time.
Well, there you have it. The 35 number 1 hit songs from the year 1974, and in my musical opinion, my top 5 from that year. What were your top 5 songs from this year? Leave your favorites in the comments below. I like to see and read what they are. Well, I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, revisiting the number 1 hit songs from 1974. Please come back again when I take us through another year in rock and roll history. Look at every number 1 hit song from that year, and then, in my musical opinion, give you my top 5. This is Mr. Mike, and I will see you next time in our next episode of In My Musical Opinion. Keep rocking.